Hello, everybody. This is Peter Palmiotti of Art Studio, and this is Studio Synergy, episode 62. Before I get into that, I just want to mention a few things. I'll be interviewed by Chuck Pinot on Thursday evening on my other channel, Creator Own Comics. So you can look forward to that. Basically, we'll be doing spotlights on different creators as we go. And since people voted for me, I guess I'm subject to being a part of the first interview. And yeah, I got another interview with a creator, Dan Monroe. We have to reschedule, but lots going on. If anybody's wondering, yes, I will be getting to my retro Kickstarter more than likely next week. I have to worry about just covering my rent and making money right now. But today, I was hoping to get Jeff on today, but he's still under the weather. For those that know, he's got pneumonia, so it might be a little bit of a while before we see him. So, keep Jeff in your thoughts. Hope he gets better soon. But we got Scott with us today. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Peter. How's it going? Yeah, so anyone that's come here to see Jeff Lafferty, unfortunately, you just get me. So.
I'm sure they're equally excited. So where can people find you across the internets?
I'm pretty much at Serkworks everywhere, and that's spelled SERKWORKS. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and then to a lesser extent, I'm like on Twitter and Dribble and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. So yeah, just as a sort of topic, I figured we could talk about how to make your comic. But if you want to, like you recently did a Kickstarter for your comic, Young and the Dead.
Yep.
If you want to talk a little bit about that to get us started here.
Yeah. Well, let me turn this camera off. I'm actually drawing the cover to the 100 Days Anthology right now, so I'm trying to film that while I'm doing it. So, my comic book, it's Young and the Dead. It is a kids versus zombie story. It's kind of like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. So if you're into all those old action adventure movies from the 80s that kind of had kids as the heroes, like Goonies, Monster Squad, Explorer, E.T., Flight of the Navigator. There's tons of them. Cloak and Dagger, all that good stuff. Or if you're, more recent fans would probably be familiar with Stranger Things. So if you like that stuff, just imagine that kind of story, but with zombies. So that's pretty much what it is. I just finished the 4th issue, and it'll probably run. I think it's going to run probably about 6 issues. But I just finished the 4th one. I kickstarted it successfully, and I just got the funding. I think this weekend, or maybe it was yesterday. I don't remember. But so I'm getting ready to send all the stuff out to the printer, and hopefully start getting that stuff out to everyone. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing on the comics front. Other than that, just like I mentioned, the 100th anthology. We all finished our stories, and people they're kind of waiting on me to do this cover. So but I'll show you. I'll hold it up. I don't want to show too much, but I've kind of talked about this before. But so it's sort of an homage to the old EC comics, like Tales from the Crypt and all that. That kind of format. So that's what we got so far, and I'm doing the whole thing. Well, I penciled the whole thing digitally, but I'm taking a cue from like my friend Joshua Kimball, and I am like hand lettering everything instead of using fonts and everything. I just wanted to have that look. So his crazy dedication to that kind of stuff is rubbing off on me. So
That's very cool. Yeah, I was wondering what the cover was going to look like, and
Well,
yeah, that's great.
I don't want to give away the theme, but afterwards, if you want, I'll tell you in private, and I can maybe show you some more stuff. So it won't be long before I reveal it, but I just, I don't know why, I'm just kind of holding on to the theme, but I'm pretty happy with it. So, but I will tell you this on the cover, because if you do know that kind of format of the like Tales from the Crypt and all those Tales of Suspense, all that kind of stuff from EC Comics, you'll know that most of the comics have they've got the big block type like you see here, and then along the side, which you probably can't see because it's in blue line, but they've got these little circles telling you like what some of the individual stories are going to be. And I do have an homage on one of those to a griffin. So just to let you know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, what I was trying to do, basically I was trying to figure out which creatures to pick. And I mean, I was going back and forth, and obviously werewolves and unicorns is the big one, and most people are doing werewolves and unicorns. So there's very few people that are doing something other than that. So I'm trying to figure out what to pick from. And then ultimately what I decided to do is I went like kind of land, air, and sea. So I picked sort of the Bigfoot, Sasquatch for the land, just more like either Loch Ness Monster or like a sea dragon it's more generic, but for the sea. And then from the sky, and yours was like perfect. The griffin was perfect. So so that's kind of what you'll see on the side there.
Nice. I always like those little, just like headshots of what's in the comic. I don't know. I think there's a name for it. I keep forgetting, but
if there is, I'd like to know what it is, because I never explain it right. And if there's also like the thing, and this, you might be referencing this as well, but like in Marvel Comics and the old Marvel, they had like under the little banner in the corner, they would have usually pictures of whoever was like either the main character in the comic, or if it's a group, they'd have the little heads of whoever's featured in that comic. So
yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. From like Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, they'd always update it per issue, whoever is in that issue, kind of thing. Yeah, I love that stuff. But yeah, very cool. I definitely, I mean, I could already read your story, but but I look forward to definitely seeing it published and being able to read everybody's story.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I know they're all up there, and I didn't want to read the stories yet because I want to get it as a book. But I did have to kind of go in and glance when I was trying to figure out which creatures to feature. And I'm looking through, and most of them looking. Okay, that's a werewolves and unicorns, so there's nothing there I can do. So finally, I kind of narrowed it down to the people who had stuff that weren't featured, and I know Corey Kerr's story has tons of different. I mean, he's just thrown in all these different myths. So I was trying to maybe pick from there, and but ultimately I just kind of went with the three that I went with. But so plus the werewolves and unicorns are prominently featured too. So
yeah. Yeah, it's exciting to be part of a project with so many people involved, and definitely people I've been following for years online. It's definitely cool.
Yeah, I see Ronnie and Skull Diamond in the chat. How you guys doing?
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome. If you have any specific questions, please feel free. Yeah, we got a couple of people watching. So if people wondering what I'm doing, and I don't know, is this too? I usually it's like it usually shows up better on camera without my light on. I am sort of thinking of characters for what will be my next short story. I'm going to publish a book called Arena, and because it's only 20 pages long, I figured I'd do a short story in the back of it. So arena is pretty much what you think. It's like aliens fighting aliens. And I wanted to do a short story. I was thinking of doing it based on one of the fighters, maybe, but I think it would be more interesting to sort of portray the cooks of the arena. And I just thought if I made the cooks like a couple, like a mom and pop kind of cooking family, that all of a sudden they're cooking for a big conglomerate that is the arena. Might be an interesting story. Yeah, for those that don't know, my Griffin story for the 100th Anthology project was actually the first thing I started and finished in my entire life. As far as writing, penciling, and inking a story, I have done plenty of attempts throughout my existence. But because, I mean, most of my career has been focused on being an anchor, and I would have almost been happy with that, except the industry has changed drastically, and being an anchor just isn't, a way to have a career that pays the bills. And I was always interested in doing my own comics and my own stories, and I'm working on a lot of projects, including doing a short story for a client as well. And I got some cover art that people want. And I'm always open for commissions, and just connect with me on Messenger is the best way. Um, if you want me to draw your favorite character. But yeah, it's like I really want to do a lot of things. Finishing an actual story that I wrote in pencil inked is like the first achievement of the year. And I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter. That's a goal I've had for a long time. And I will actually publish this year probably 4 books before the year is out. And I'm going to start writing some books for other artists, as well as a graphic novel. So I got a lot of plans. Right now, I'm sort of juggling too much, but I wanna gear my whole career towards, working on my own comics and making that fully functional and worthwhile. It's a challenge, but getting there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, and once you get that first story down, and that's kind of always what I mean. Again, I mean, obviously you've done tons of stories, just the inking and everything, and but from start to finish, working on every aspect of the comic and everything. Once you get that down, then it's like you've done it, and then that, in at least in my opinion, in my experience, that kind of helps propel you to continue to do that. And obviously you did it the right way. And one thing I always tell comic book creators, I would say aspiring or new, obviously you're a veteran, so I guess it works for everyone, but just the best thing to do if you have problems kind of, finishing a project, start with a super small project, like a 4-pager or something like that. And then once you get that done, then the next one, do a little bigger one and whatever, and then kind of set your goals higher and higher as you go. But that's awesome. That's a huge win.
Yeah, it's it wasn't it's like I started it midway in my 100 days because I was doing like just whole bunch of Griffin sketches, and I was like, I'm going to do a Griffin sketchbook as well. And then it was like day 50 is like, I should probably start on the story. And then I was at the very end, and we got a deadline extension, but I was still working on it and struggling to get it done. Luckily, Karen from the group, Karen Bonfiglio, she helped me with the lettering, because I did the first page, and it was like, it's okay, but she offered to help me, and I was like, yes, please.
Yeah, that's great, because like that's the one thing so many people underestimate with comics is just good comic book lettering. And like if it was other than like what I'm doing right now, but basically at the lettering I'm doing right now, I basically, I just typed it. I use the comic book font digitally and did it in blue line and printed it out. So I'm going over it, so it looks like it's hand done, but I've got kind of that guide. But if you're not a good letterer, which I'm really not by hand anyway, yeah, it's best to have somebody else that's experienced do that, because if you have bad lettering on a great story, it's really going to stand out like a sore thumb, and it's just gonna. I mean, that's the first thing people notice. I mean, great lettering, you won't notice it at all. But well, unless maybe it's special effects and things like that. But if you have bad lettering, it really sticks out. So
Yeah, that's definitely what was going on. It was like what I achieved was was good for me, because I've done some lettering. Like I was doing some web comics a couple of years ago, and did some lettering on that. But it's like, it's not what I'm skilled at. I have a still learning curve ahead of me, and it is something I want to pursue, at least to get down the basics. But when it came down to it, it was like, yeah, Karen does a great job. you know when to throw in the gauntlet or whatever.
yeah. So
But,
you had mentioned commissions. I just want to. I mean, this is kind of a weird pitch or a weird promotion, because it's only for people who are local to where I am. But this weekend is going to be not only Free Comic Book Day, but also May the 4th. So if you happen to be in Arizona, if you want to come out to Surprise Comics, I'll be doing commissions there. Probably Star Wars stuff, just because it's May the 4th. And I've got like a whole ton of like old Star Wars sketches and stuff that I've done that I might bring with me, because they're just kind of gathering dust. Because I usually don't put the fan art stuff on my website, but and I don't do a lot of commissions either. So if you really want one, you can fly out to Arizona and you can get one from me.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's definitely people that are in your area and would come out.
Yeah. The store does a good job of promoting too. Plus, I mean, it's not just going to be me. It's going to be Eric Henson, who does Eden for Alterna Comics, and Vincent DePorter, who does SpongeBob SquarePants comics. So it's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been, it's like Peter Cimetti on YouTube has been doing more and more videos, and I've been watching a bunch of them. And I catch him live every now and then, and he's always really nice and sweet, and has a lot of good information. I've become more of a fan and more like clued into what exactly he's up to, just as of late.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's. I mean, really, mostly the only comics I collect are Alterna, just because and some titles are better than others and everything. But just what he's doing as a comic book company, I think if every single company did what he's doing, I think we would totally save and revitalize the comic book industry. I really do. I believe in pretty much everything that he does as a comic book creator. I just wish other companies would kind of follow suit, but
What specifically is it? Is it the cheap price?
It's not necessarily. it's everything. And I mean, you have to listen to him as much as probably you or I listen to, but a lot of it is just getting books in people's hands. Like for one thing, he's got a couple titles that go out to like newsstands and things like that. And he's trying to get them in like dollar stores, Dollar Trees and things like that. But on the back of every single one of those, he's got just a big giant ad that says, "Stop. You can find these at your local comic book store," which is, I mean, that's just how some people don't even realize that they still sell comics. And it's crazy when you go see like the Avengers and all these Marvel movies and DC movies and all these entertainment properties that are just making tons of money, and superheroes are more popular now than ever. And people don't know that they have comic book stores, that there's further adventures of these characters in your local comic book store. I mean, all that they need to do is put, at the beginning of one of these movies, just run an ad saying, you can get these at your local comic book store, and look it up. And then, and Peter's got like a list of all the, comic book stores in his books and online. Here's a comic book store finder where you can find your local comic book store. But that is a big thing. The fact that it's not just based on like, gimmicks and variant covers and all this stuff. I mean, the price is one thing. I mean, obviously the price that he sets his comics at are what, judging, with inflation, what comic books would be if just the way inflation went from what we were paying as a kid. Because kids can't afford to spend $4. I mean, maybe on one comic or whatever, but when I was a kid, you can go and, I don't want to sound like an old man, but I am an old man, but you can go 65, 75 cents, buy a comic, and that doesn't translate to $4. I mean, I could buy multiple comics. I mean, it's pretty expensive for a kid to collect comics. So the price is one thing, but, some people may not like the newsprint. That's sort of a nostalgic thing to me, but Marvel doesn't need, they could sell enough on ads or whatever with, they've got so many other things going on that they could charge, whatever, $1.50, $2 or something for a comic book and have it that premium format. With them, with the rate, the numbers they're doing, of course, they're not like what they used to do, but they could easily, have $2 cover price, and have premium format, because a lot of people that maybe they don't like that about alternate or whatever. But I don't know, those are just a couple things. But I mean, he's just a wealth of information when it comes to the comic book, and just, and then there's so many other issues, I don't want to even get into like Diamond, but you see how much trouble he has with that, and the fact that they've got a monopoly, and obviously I don't know if they're in a lot of trouble, which they probably are, I don't know, but they don't seem to care, about, any of their customers, and why should they? Because who else are you going to go to unless you go, you build your own system, which he's kind of trying to do. So, yeah, I mean, I really think if other people would take, because you gotta get new readers and things into these books. I mean, you can't just cater to a dying market. I mean, some comic book stores do what they can, trying to get people in, through whether it's Magic the Gathering or these other things. But it all started with comics. I mean, and we need to get people into comics, because like I said, there's these people, these heroes and everything that you're reading about or you're watching on screen. There's tons of other adventures, and and it's the same thing with like, and I don't read a lot of the Star Wars comics, but my brother does, and I mean, and the ones that I do read, I mean, it's really cool to find out all these other adventures, because I'm a big Star Wars fan, but most people don't know that that there's all this other stuff in the Star Wars universe going on outside of like the movies and stuff. So. So just, we need to get kids into it, get kids into these books. And that's just going to perpetuate more ideas, more stories, because that's where they're drawing from with the movies, is all these comic book stories. So why wouldn't you want to build that, even if you're just using it as sort of a farm to get ideas for your entertainment properties? Why wouldn't you want that to continue? So I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but.
No, absolutely. Like, in one of the videos I watched recently, Pete pretty much says, you know, comics aren't broken. It's like other things about comics, like distribution is a big one. You know, the fact that there's only one, mostly just one distributor is insane. And it's a lot about what's wrong with the industry, about it not being where, you know, like comics used to be everywhere, newsstands and everything. Um, but yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about it, and I mean, you know, looking at it from perspective that, you know, I want to essentially build a small publishing company. Um, you know, I'm definitely have a lot of thoughts in mind. You know, about what I want to do and what needs to be done to be successful. Um, you know, first I want to get a batch of books out, then take a really good look at, you know, expanding and what really I wanna focus on. But you know, definitely I am I have been already looking into different ways to distribute. Um, and you know, international is a horror story. Um, that's something I might avoid to begin with.
Yeah.
But you know, I know like one of their books at Alterner, um, is the creator is in the UK and he's printing like the international shipping there, and the US shipping Peter's printing copies here. So shipping
That
won't
makes
be
sense.
shipping won't be as insane. Um, you know, one of the things I'm definitely not doing is alternate covers. Because yeah, that's just gotten out of hand, and I realize it's an attraction for Kickstarters and crowdfunding campaigns. Um, but for me, it's like if I sell a couple more copies of the book, that's better than having 12 covers.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's weird because like my local comic book store owner, he's kind of all into the variant covers, and he's always trying to sell me on them and stuff. And I just have no interest. But for him, it's a money maker for him because those are rare, and he can you know he can move the prices up on them, and he does where he'll hire like a comic book, like there now you can, if you have the money, you can hire like a comic book artist to do an exclusive cover of particular issues, and it's exclusive to your store, so then you can get online orders for for that book. And so it's not just the people in your store. If people want that variant cover by that artist, they have to get it through you. So he does that kind of stuff. But the thing is, I mean, and I understand that, but I think that's just a Band-Aid on something it's just not gonna, I don't think that's something that's really gonna last. I mean, you can bring in money that way, but I think ultimately we just need to kind of go back and do what Peter's doing and get more people into comics, and not just try to extract more money from the fans you already have.
Yeah, I mean, I believe if like enough independent creators become successful and work together, to like help improve the industry, that our books will then be more in demand. Therefore, like stores will do better.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little pie in the sky, but uh, I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I want this medium that I love so much to kind of continue and thrive, and so
Yeah.
I'm with Alterna till I die. I love what they're doing. So,
Have you ever thought of doing a story for them?
I mean, the thought has crossed my mind. The problem is, I mean, I've already started my book and everything. So I know he puts out stuff that's already been published, like in other, like sometimes somebody will do a graphic novel and they'll do it. So maybe when it's done, there's a number of reasons why I just kind of want to continue doing the way I'm doing, is because I've already established it that way. I mean, if they would have come on this, if I would have known about them when I was starting off, I definitely would have. And if once this project's done, I wouldn't mind, submitting something, or submitting just the story as it is and having it reprinted as in newsprint in their format. That would be cool too. Assuming that, there's obviously he gets tons and tons of submissions. So that's just kind of, that would be up in the air whether he would be interested in doing what I'm doing anyway. But yeah, I thought about it. If I was going to go with anyone other than myself, that's who I would go with. If I had a choice.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I thought of doing a short story. Like he's got the book came out on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And anything from 2 or 3 pages or up to 10 pages, you could do a short story for that. And I guess the one that's most popular within the book, you win something. I don't know.
You know what? I read that. Obviously, I read that title. I read all their titles, but I kind of forgot it. And I have thought about that before. But I mean, we've got sort of we can't do anything with these stories that we're working on now for a year. But I wouldn't mind submitting that 4-page story to them. It features monsters and stuff, so I wouldn't mind submitting that to, or something else. But yeah, that would probably be the way to go, because that would be cool just to have, have something published through Alterna. Like, it was funny because there's a local artist who's who I see at all. I know him, and I see him at all the comic conventions here locally and some of the drawing events, and he's kind of very much influenced by like Bill Sienkiewicz. He's kind of got that paint early style and stuff. But I was just reading it came out on Wednesdays once, and I saw his artwork, and I'm like, oh wow, all right, that's Ryan. He's in there. That's cool. So yeah, that is kind of cool to see people that are in those pages and everything. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having a story in that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you did recently, what was it called? Like a design convention?
Oh, yeah. So Creative South. So Creative South is it's more, there are a lot of illustrators that go there, but it's kind of more in the graphic design space. But it's it's not really a convention. It's a conference. So, I mean, typically you might describe something like that as a networking event, although it's very different from that. It's more kind of like a family environment, and just going out and kind of listen to speakers. Like, if anyone's familiar with the YouTube channel, The Future, Chris Doe's channel. I mean, Chris Doe was one of the speakers, but it's a lot about, kind of how to, make a living as a creative and all that kind of stuff. And just get out and meet some cool people and everything. So yeah, so I did that, went out there with Corey Kerr, who I do, I'm kind of a guest on the art check that he does with Joshua Kimball, and he's a frequent guest on the Artcaster show that I do. So yeah, we got to hang out and go out there, and I did a blog and we talked about it on some of the other shows. But yeah, it's really cool. I think, if you have the ability to do that, because there is sort of a price tag attached to it, but I think it's well worth it to go out to some of these events and everything, and meet people and let people know who you are, and who knows, it could result in more more work and more people, knowing people in the industry. Like for right now, I'm pitching a couple projects right now that I'm going to probably need people to help out with if they start going. I'm going to need people that can either do, whether it's web design or like video production or whatever, and you can actually meet people and kind of build your network of people through stuff like this. So yeah, it was, and like I said, besides that, it was just a cool vibe, and it's just like getting to hang out with friends that you never knew you had, really. So yeah.
Yeah, I've I watched some of the interviews and videos of the feature, that channel on YouTube. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like I try to fall upon other things other than just comic and comic artists, comic writers, whatever. I try to be open to all things, and it's definitely a great channel, and he seems like a really cool guy, and their offices are pretty excellent.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty well established and been doing it for a while, and pretty successful. But he's very much into how to make serious money from your art, which I think is a lot of things people don't think is really possible. So it kind of opens your eyes to some of that stuff, that there is potential. I mean, everywhere you go, you see art, and somebody has to create that art. And usually those people that create the artwork that you're seeing, not all the times that people are creating the artwork that you don't see, because those are the people that, the clients don't want to pay a whole lot. And because they don't want to pay a whole lot, the artwork probably isn't that great, or they don't have the money to actually get that artwork out there for people to see. But most of the artwork that you're seeing, when that have been, either commissioned, for, public, display, or just in stores, on packages or whatever, all of that kind of artwork people are getting paid to do. So when somebody says you can't make money off of art, they don't really know what they're talking about. You just kind of have to know how to do it, and it may not be the way you want. I mean, comics are a struggle. Definitely, if you want, like us, you want to make comics, that isn't the bulk of the way I earn a living from artwork, but I still do that because I love it, But and I don't want to say that there isn't a way to make money off of comics, because that's not true either. But you have to. It's kind of, you got to figure some things out in order to do that, and kind of break down some walls and everything. But it is possible. So
yeah, I think so. It's like I've been doing this 27 years now, working in comics, which is a pretty damn long time. And I wouldn't say I've had major success. I've had some really good years, and I worked for the big two, and I've worked for other big companies. I mean, frankly, I made better money outside of Mullen, DC, a lot of times, but yeah, I mean, comics was my original love, and why I wanted to do art in the first place, and now I'm definitely geared towards doing it full time for myself. Although it might be a while before I can totally cut ties with client work and whatnot. It's just, sometimes you just got to do what it get you by. But hopefully this year a lot of changes are going to happen, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, you already got one big thing out of the way, and that's completing that, that story. And so just keep that momentum going, and that's the way to do it. Because I remember, before the story I'm working on right now, I mean, the previous book I was working on, I mean, I would rework that thing and just trying to get it perfect, and it was never perfect, and because of that, I never got anything done. But once I did that, finished that first Young and the Dead, then it was like, man, I can do this stuff. I can actually complete something, and I haven't really looked back. So I'm always, trying to make more products and more things and get them out there. because once you get a taste of that, it's like, oh, I want that again. I want that feeling again.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk about, Ink Wars.
Oh yeah.
Ink Wars. Now, a couple of years back, Justin Stewart.
Yes.
Justin 3000.
Yeah. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
personally, but I follow him on Instagram and stuff, and I definitely see his stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Years ago, there was a theater in Lexington where he lives at, and we were fortunate enough to be able to do live art there. So he put up a bunch of boards, and it was me, him, and some of his other friends, at least 5 or 6, maybe even 7, where we were in the lobby of the theater, like next to where people were buying sodas and popcorn and all that. Just doing, whether it was, we do it before like a comic movie. So we were doing sometimes comic book characters, other times just random things that entered our heads. But for anybody who walked by, if they were interested in a piece, some of the artists sold their works while we were doing this. It was completely weird for people to walk in the theater and see this and expect everybody to jump on all our work and buy it is another thing entirely. But it was just really fun to be doing it together and just interact with the public going in to see movies and to tell them a bit about what we were up to and all that.
I love that.
It reminded me of Ink Wars, which, if you want to describe that to people.
Yeah, so Ink Wars, I think they do it at a few different events. There's another event, which I haven't been to, but it's called Weapons of Mass Creation, but it's another kind of one of these, design conferences. But they also do it at Creative South, and basically what it is they'll, at Creative South, like the first night, they'll have this thing called the Bridge Party, and it's like right on the border between Georgia and Alabama. There's a river, I think I want to say Chattahoochee River. I could be wrong about that. Something like that. But there's a bridge that goes over it, and they block the whole bridge off, and it's a pretty wide bridge. It's not like a driving bridge. It's like a pedestrian bridge, but it's pretty big. And they block that whole thing off, and they have a big party. And at that party, the main event there is Ink Wars, and basically what it is, they get like these 4, I don't know if it's MDF or whatever, but these 4 giant wood, 4 by 8 foot wood panels, and they paint them white, and that's your canvases, and they stick them up there, and they've got 8 of those. So they pick 8 different artists to go, and then they've got an hour, and it's all timed, and they don't know what they're drawing, and they tell them what the theme is, and then they have to create something like on the spot. And I entered in the challenge. I didn't get chosen, but in the off chance that I would get chosen, what I did was I decided, well, I kind of want to practice this, because I didn't know if I could do a drawing like that, fill up a whole 4 by 8 foot drawing in 60 minutes or whatever. So I decided to do a little like test run in my garage, and so I went and bought I bought some large paper, and I didn't realize exactly how they did it. I didn't know they were drawing like on the actual board, but I think I like the paper idea a little better. And then I just put a board up, put the paper over the board. That way I can basically roll up this drawing, and if I wanted to sell it or something, I could do that. It's a little harder to sell a big giant, painting like that, unless it's just like locally, you can't like ship it or anything. But so I just set everything up, and I filmed it, and then I did it, and I put a video up and kind of sped it up. Actually, I need to put that on. I need to put up I need to condense that whole thing down into like just 1 minute, an hour condensed down into 1 minute and put that on Facebook, because I think that might get some views on Facebook. But anyway, so I put it up on YouTube, and I don't know, it's cool. I kind of, the only difference was that I didn't know exactly what the theme was going to be, but I was pretty close, because there's always a theme of the actual convention. Like this, I think last year it was more like a carnival theme. This year it was like video games. So I knew it had something to do with like retro video games. So I was pretty close. So I could have easily just done exactly what I did, and then done that on the actual challenge, and it probably would have been fine. I don't know if I would have won, because there were a lot of great stuff. The girl who won, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Von Glitchka. He's like a kind of design, kind of rock star. He's super awesome, like logo designs, vector designs. He's like one of the top like guys that Adobe actually listens to when they're doing stuff for Adobe Illustrator and stuff. But his daughter is an artist too, and she's the one that actually won Ink Wars. So
Cool.
But hopefully next year I'll get chosen. We'll see. I'm going to enter again next year. So
is there any way to improve your chances, or you just it's random?
No, well, I don't know. There's always certain ways. Like I would think, one of the things that I probably should have done is like, because I sent them, because they let you send a link. Well, one of the things is now that people know me a little more over there, and I've talked to people, that may help. People are a little more familiar with my stuff, because I just kind of went in cold. I've never been to this conference before. Now people are starting to know me. I'm talking to people that I met there and everything. So that could be part of it. The other thing was, when I sent them a link, I sent them a link to my website. And if you go to my website, it's a little more like finished stuff. Like it's my, my online store, which is, finished work and everything. I probably should have just sent them a link to my Instagram, because there's a lot more. There's all my Inktober sketches and stuff on there. So it's a little more sketchy. I don't know what they did with the process. Again, there's, I don't know how many people enter, but there were, anywhere from, I'm not good with the numbers, but 600 to 800 people at this conference. So who knows how many? I mean, maybe not even half entered, but still, that's a lot of, whatever it is. There's a lot of people entering, and only 8 people get chosen. And out of those, the way I think it works, it seems like from the past, is that you probably have a chance of, you probably only have 4. You don't have 8 chances. You probably have 4, because it seems like if you're a guy, it seems like they got 4 guys, 4 girls. So if you're a girl, you have 4 chances to fill those female slots. And then if you're a guy, you have 4 chances to fill those male slots. I don't know if that's an official thing, but just based on what I've seen, that's kind of what it seems like. They usually have a pretty even number of, male to female ratio. So, but anyway, but it's, whatever the case is, I mean, even that I didn't get chosen, I got something out of it, because I got to kind of practice on my own, and I got a video out of it. And I'm thinking about possibly doing something on a large scale like that for maybe next time Inktober rolls around. Although October is always the worst time for me, because like so many family members, like my brother, my daughter, my mom, so I have so many family members that have birthdays around then, plus Halloween. I usually go all out for Halloween. So, but if I can squeeze it in, I wouldn't mind doing some like large scale stuff like that for Inktober.
I could definitely see that being a lot of fun. And October is a hard time, because I always want to do nothing for like between Thanksgiving and Christmas almost.
Yeah.
Like I want to take that time off, and that's usually my busiest time, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
So, I love Inktober. Usually I think of doing something too crazy. I gotta just calm down and do something simple.
Yeah, the last one I did, and it got probably a lot more response than anything I'd done before, but it was kind of like a last minute thing. I wasn't planning on doing it, and then at the last minute, I'm like, maybe I should. So I had some of these sketches that I had done for back when I had my day job, because I was doing these stamp designs, and so we do all the different holidays. So we did stuff for Halloween, and I had these characters that I designed for a set that never got produced, and I kind of liked the way they look, so I kind of revamped them, and I had like 4 already kind of that I liked, so I just kind of redrew those, and then I just kind of went on from there. But they were kind of these kind of cute little monsters, no, that one got a lot of response. I mean, that's something that I think I'm going to have to collect those drawings into some kind of a book or something. And if I ever get a Patreon off the ground, maybe that'll be like a reward or something. I'm not sure. But.
Yeah. Let me go to the chat, because I know we've been getting a lot of comments, and I've been ignoring that. But we got a lot of people that showed up. Yes, Ronnie, Skull Diamond. Hey, Mike Emirates, Wes, Squatchy Inc. Also, Comic Book Black Belt, which is Russ. And
it's like Yanimal's in there. Yeah, Yanimal's cooking dinner. I guess it's in Spain. It's dinner time. So
yeah. It's crazy. But let's see if anybody has specific questions. Ash cans are a great way to promote your book, as well as promoting a book on crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge mini comic fan, so I mean, if you do a YouTube search on mini comics, I'm probably like the first and second one that comes up, because I talk so much about mini comics. So yeah.
Let's see. Skull Diamond says definitely Alterna. They are nailing it. Says Comic Book Black Belt. Love newsprint. Comic industry never got over being removed from the newsstand. Yes. Which is Black Belt was saying.
Yeah, that's something that Peter talked about on and again, I'm talking about Peter Cimetti, not Peter Palmiotti, but that's something he talked about, which is so true, is that Marvel and DC and Image do have dollar books. They have lines of dollar books. Why aren't those in every single dollar store? Now, some of them the only reason I could see why they might not be, especially Image titles, is they're probably, you have a problem selling books that aren't all ages in more public places, because people still, have the idea that comics are for kids. And if somebody goes and they pick up something that's definitely not for kids, and a lot of Image titles are that way, thinking it's for kids, then you're going to run into some issues. So, but if you have all ages books, and if they're priced at $1, there's no reason why they shouldn't be in like dollar stores. I mean, how hard is that for a company like Marvel or DC or Image to get these books in there?
I know, like, I'm in a small town in Kentucky, and we have, one closed down, like Family Dollar. I don't know if like different ones are run by different companies, or if it's all just franchise individual people running them. But like this Family Dollar, there's Dollar General, there's a 2 or 3 other ones. I'm not even sure. So I don't know about, like, you have to pretty much work with them individually to see if they want comics in the first place, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many things we could be doing. But.
But Black Belt also mentioned like a good payday for him is storyboarding, which is definitely, like, if you're storyboarding that could run into some really, really good money.
Yeah, I used to do storyboards, and it is excellent money. But I don't think I ever had a storyboard job that didn't have to be done like overnight the next day. I mean, they're always down to the wire. I don't know why it is, but they just do not have the foresight to to give you a little leeway on some of that stuff. But yeah, I don't think I did a lot of feature stuff, but I did a lot of television commercial storyboards, and a lot of I did some stuff for some video games. I did some stuff for I think a couple features that didn't actually get produced, but yeah, it was good money. It's very I don't know I don't think it would be worth it for me now, because like I don't want to have to pull an overnighter anymore if I don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's coming from somebody who kind of considers himself a workaholic and probably doesn't get as much sleep as he probably should, but I still don't. Yeah, that doesn't sound intriguing to me.
Yeah. I know, like, Amanda, for those that don't know, my brother's wife, Amanda Kana, she's done a lot of storyboarding, and if you didn't already hear me talk about it, she did at least some art for one of the newest episodes, where it had one of the characters, like describing a story of him in space, and then later in the episode, there's a little children's book where she did the cover and some illustrations. And
Wait,
then
hold on, Peter. What show are you talking about? You said
that's
episode.
it's Big Bang Theory.
Oh, Big Bang. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
So yeah, it was really cute. It was I forgot the character's name, but because I used to watch it regularly all the time. Now the only episode I caught was basically that one. But it's the Jewish guy that went up to space.
Yeah, I don't really watch the show. I have a sort of a familiarity with it, but
yeah. But yeah, it was really cute. But I was wondering if she did storyboards for that too, at least for the animation part. Anyway, when I run into her, I'll ask her. it's like I talk to my brother every now and then online, and I try never to really talk about business, because it's like me and him used to talk like every week when we both lived in Brooklyn. But now he's in Florida and he's traveling half the time. I essentially connect with him on Twitter, just private chat. But it's like, yeah, the last thing I want to talk to him about is business. It's like, I just want to catch up and say hi. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. So there was a comment. Who's I forgot who said it, but oh yeah, it was Comic Book Black Belt. Want to know if anyone else is drawing while they're listening? But yeah, I'm not listening. Well, I am listening, but I'm also on the show and I'm drawing. Trying to draw. I know Peter and I both drawing, so yeah, I know you said Mike was in the chat. I don't know if he still is, but yeah, anytime I see Mike in the chat, I haven't talked to Mike in a while, but I just want to let him know that I am working on the cover. So yeah, it's kind of like everyone's. You were talking about the extension, and I got the book done. I mean, I got my story done on time and everything, but and some people didn't know that, because I had saved. Because the thing I do with like Instagram is that I like to put things out in like sort of like a series. Like, so if I do Inktober, that's probably all I'll post is Inktober. If I'm doing some other thing, that's all I'll post. Like, so when I was running the Kickstarter, I was only posting like things about Young and the Dead. And then when that wrapped up, I had been saving all these photos and stuff of my process for the comic book, which I'm posting right now. So everyone thought I was still working on it. Like, you can get it done. I'm like, well, it's done. but the so I mean, there was never. I don't know if there was anything official as far as when the cover was due. So, and I know Mike's probably wanting to get that done as soon as possible. But so even with that extension, I'm like, well, I still got to do this cover now, even though I've got the book done. So I'm still working on it, But I know Corey is also doing the video, which is another thing I've got to get done. I've got to, we all have to record a little piece for the video that he's working on. So I don't, I know we're still working on that stuff. So hopefully we'll get it done and ready before we launch the Kickstarter, so we can have the cover artwork and all that stuff. So
yeah, I know they want to sort of do the Kickstarter, then get it printed, and in time for San Diego, so Gaz could have it as his stable there, all that jazz.
Oh, okay. Well, when is San Diego? Do you know?
It's either July or August. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, because Phoenix Comic Con or whatever they're calling it now. I definitely know I'm not going to get this in time for that. I do hope to get my comic, my 4th issue, done by then, though. So that's at the end of May, which is tomorrow. May starts tomorrow. Yeah. Man, I'm getting. Yeah, I just got so many things I'm trying to do right now. So.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming. I'm just trying to cover basic steps to earning a living and getting through each month, and it's like there's not enough time in a day or a week. That's why I'm like, yeah, I should be a lot less ambitious about what I want to do, because that's sort of a newbie of what they point figures at new creators. It's like don't try to do a 3-part graphic novel as your first story. It's like just calm down and do an issue.
Yeah. No, I say that all the
time. Yeah, so I'm just trying to keep things simple and small, and it's like the grand plan is big enough, but it's the small steps that will get me there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the story that you did and everything, because like you said, I mean, we've been friends for a while, and this is kind of the first thing you've done from start to finish. So yeah, I'm really anxious to see it and everything, because I mean, obviously we follow all your sketches and stuff and the inks and everything you're doing on Instagram, but I want to, I'm into, obviously we're comic book artists, so we're into sequential art, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will be too. A lot of people have been waiting on that Peter Palmiotti comic book story.
Well, it's like I'm happy with it. It's like in many ways I feel, obviously, it's like, I could have done better. It's but when it comes down to it, it's like, well, it took me my lifetime to get a 4-page story out. So
yeah, well, that's the thing, and don't worry about if this didn't come out exactly the way you wanted. Worry about improving on the next one. That's what I always say, because that's where people get in that trap. It's like, oh, but it could be a little better, and maybe I need to scrap it and start over or whatever. But just improve on the next one. Every project should be a stepping stone to your next project, I think.
Yeah. But it's funny. It's like once I had it done, it's like, I wonder if it's any good. I mean, from perspective of like just somebody randomly picking it up and reading it, it's like I have no idea if anybody will be entertained by this or care, or So I did send it out to just a few people, and sort of got feedback, and it was positive. So I was like, okay, at least I'm heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I know. I am like, even with like Young and the Dead, I've never sent it out for like any kind of review, which I probably should have, but it's like, I don't know, man. Some of that does kind of scare me of kind of the feedback I will get if like, oh, what if people don't like it, or what if it's not, and I don't expect it to be, because it kind of is what it is. I mean, it's not, even if you watch like the stuff that it's based on, like Goonies and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're fun movies and everything, but they're not, it's not like the script's like super tight and not like, it's just a fun movie, and that's kind of what the comic should be. So I'm always afraid if I send it off for review, they might miss that point, that this is just a fun kind of romp and everything, and that it doesn't have to be super high art or look like incredible storytelling and everything. And hopefully it is good storytelling, but so yeah, I that's one thing I don't do, is I usually solicit reviews too often, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's almost easier, at least in my head, like to put out something that will hit every point that fans will love, but it's hard to just do a basic story that people can like.
yeah.
So it's the challenge of storytelling. It's just it's like I was describing very early on in the episode. It's like I got this comic that's I sort of want to fill it out, and I'm going to be doing this short story. It's like I want to just tell a simple story, and it could evolve and build off sort of the mythology of what the front story will be. But in the end, it will just be a simple story, and it's like, well, it's like I've been reading novels all my life. I've been reading comics all my life. I've been watching movies. Simple stories are like, what I love.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be Endgame.
Yeah. I don't know. If everything was in game, that would be pretty awesome too. Yeah, I won't get into it too much because I know there's still people who haven't seen it. But man, I just saw it last night, and man, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I saw it and loved it. And I know Marshall. Before I started the show, Marshall actually went live and gave his thoughts in a video. But yeah, definitely worth seeing. That was my review. A must see.
Yeah. Well, obviously that sentiment is reflected in the box office numbers, because it was I think it's first week movie that made $1 billion in its first opening weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the time in which we're at, where we can go and enjoy all these movies and like finally see them well produced, well written, and up on the silver screen. But it's like, in so many ways, that's not really helping the comic industry at all.
Well, yeah, like we talked about, I think it definitely has a potential to help, but why they're not taking advantage of that, I don't know. But
yeah. But I think we as indie creators can do like the small stuff that will improve the industry and improve what we do. One of the things I wanted to bring up was I might have messaged you at some point, or maybe not. I know I definitely talked to Gaz, and this is something I want to talk to Jeff about, and also Kevin Cross. It's like for the first issue, I'll be publishing, which will be my character Retro. I want to have one page dedicated to other people's books. So I want you four to do like small ads in my first issue for
cool.
for your book and for Gaz's the horror and Kevin Cross Monkey Mod and Jeff's Berserkernaut. I mean, it's like, and Gaz was going, "Do I have to pay?" I was like, "No, that's not the point of it." No. But it's like, just because I love you guys and I love your work and I love your books, and it's a way to support what you're doing. And to me, it's like supporting the independent industry, and that's what really I want to be all about.
No, I think that's awesome. I'd be honored to do that. Are you thinking like a what? You thinking like a pinup, or are you thinking of like an actual ad, or what are you thinking? What's
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I'll probably only have like one page, so it'll be like split into four parts, and so
Yeah.
it'll be like, maybe like a wide panel, and I want to include certain things within it to where people can go check it out, online to buy it and that sort of thing. Um, so it'll probably like have your name, the book name, um, your website, and maybe where people can find it other than your website. So it'll be like crowded panel, but
No, that's cool. That's cool. What would
mm,
also be cool is I don't know if it would work as well with like my comic or maybe Gaz's comic, but like with like because we kind of got ours are more, I guess, a little more ensemble. There's I guess we have our main characters and everything, but like it'd be cool to see like a pinup featuring, Berserkernaut and Monkey Mod and Retro, and then something from me and something from Gaz. That'd be kind of cool to see that. I don't
yeah,
know if I mean, I would like to draw. I don't know if I have time, but that'd be cool to if somebody wanted to do something like that. That'd be really cool.
that would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm open. I'm open. You know, I'll have to do a final page counting. So I'll have at least one page available above and beyond that. We'll see, because the story itself will be like 28 pages for a 32-page book. So, and I want to do a letters page, much like Kevin.
Yeah.
I want to have a letters page in there and some other things, but yeah, we'll see. Is a little ways off. I'll get the Kickstarter up and running first before we get into what we need to get done for it. I'm going to give myself a realistic timeline to getting it all done and all that.
So tell me a little more about the book itself. Like, is this a book that you're working with an artist, a penciler on, and you're inking it and writing it? Are you doing the
Yeah,
whole thing, or what's?
yeah. For the first issue, I worked. I gave a friend of mine who's an artist a sort of Stanley script to go by. But I'll be scripting it. I'm doing inks on it over his pencils. I'm gonna get it, colored, so it'll be a color book. Um, and because my friend he decided not to continue in comics. Um, I'm going to be the artist with issue 2 going forward.
Cool.
So, so the first issue will look great, and the second issue will be me. But yeah, it's like I've been sitting on it, much like a lot of things. I sort of like dusted it off every once in a while and said, this is what I should be working on. Then money concerns come up, and it's like goes back on the shelf again. But I'm committed to not only kickstarting it this year, but getting it published this year. So that means all the work going in and finishing it off, getting it colored, getting it lettered. Well, scripting it first, and yeah, getting it out there and getting it into people's hands. And like I said, yeah, I'll have probably like 4 books before the year is out. Then I'll take a really good look at how I want to. I'll have a clearer vision of how I want to approach the business and how I want to juggle all that I want to do. But that's always the challenges in freelance. Doing art for a living. You sort of go where the money goes, but also do your passion projects.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. I've got, I've got these jobs that I need to do to pay the bills, and I do like working on that stuff, but I just kind of want to get back to doing more comics and stuff. So I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I did a couple of hangouts with Jeff, and they were just private hangouts. And I talked to him about sort of how I wanted to do my Kickstarter. And it's kind of crazy because I don't have a lot of free time, and I'm going to trust in my friends and fans a lot and do a very short Kickstarter. Now it's not going to fully finance the project, but at least I'll be able to have enough money to work with to get it completely done. And then I'll look into other things after that. But I'm just going to do a 5-day Kickstarter.
Yeah, that I heard you say that, and that kind of makes me nervous. But I hope you know what you're doing.
Well, I mean, it's like I know a number of people that are going to help me get the word out. And my goal is going to be not a lot. And yeah, I'm trusting in the fact that people have been waiting for years for me to put out my own book. So we shall see. I mean, the worst case scenario is like it doesn't happen. So I'll try something else after that.
Yeah.
But if it does work, then other people may follow my track.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is some truth to the fact that in what you were talking about before, where there is definitely that middle period where nothing really happens, and you can shorten it. And I understand that concept, and I believe that concept. But shortening it to only 1 week, that does make me a little nervous. But like you said, I mean, the one thing you do really well is you're a community builder, and you have a lot of people that know you and you've done so well as helping promote other people's projects and things like that I think people are going to be more than willing to kind of do the same for you. So hopefully get that word out, and hopefully 1 week's time is good enough to do that. So
yeah. Well, as soon as I know, like, it's going to be, whatever it's going to be, May 10th or whatever, then I'll definitely be messaging people and letting them know in advance that, hey, in 3 days I'm going to start my Kickstarter. So get ready.
yeah.
But it's like, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just even with people promoting it, the problem is like sometimes people have to see it another number of times before they like, oh, I got to back it, because I mean that was definitely the case with me. And sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't even know you were running a Kickstarter, even though you think, oh, I'm promoting this too much. People are going to get mad because I'm shoving this down everyone's throat. And then at the end, you get people like, oh, I didn't know you were running the Kickstarter. I'm like, how did you not know? That's all I've been talking about. So.
Yeah, I'm totally aware. I'm not going in totally blind. It's like I've been a part of Kickstarters. I just haven't run one myself.
Yeah.
I've been a part of at least 3, maybe 4. And so it's like, I've helped other people make money for themselves, and now it's time to do for me.
Yeah.
My brother, who's currently got his latest Painkiller Jane graphic novel Kickstarter going. It's been funded. Now we get into the stretch goals. I've helped him promote his, but he wanted to do something a little extra special. And it was a little more costly. So this is his highest goal Kickstarter so far, which was 38,000, which it passed just yesterday, I believe. And by far, he's not the biggest Kickstarter success story. He's essentially done 11 successful Kickstarters, but Brian, I'm going to forget his name. Lady Death creator.
Oh, Pladio.
He's done at least 15, maybe 16. I forget now.
Yeah, I think he's local to Arizona. He's usually at all the shows and stuff. So.
Yeah. I mean, I've known him for years. And he's a really nice guy, and always says hello. But his latest one, I think, took in like 300 something thousand. It's crazy.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this successful independent creators doing it, and I thought of doing it like the whole 30 days, and I could make it work when it comes right down to it. I could find the time to do it. But it's like, if I could do one that's successful in a quick amount of time, then maybe I could do a bunch of them in a year's amount of time and finance other books along the way. We'll see. But we've been going a long time. I know you got a busy day ahead of you.
Yeah, I got tons of stuff I got to do, but yeah.
And if Mike's still watching, you probably want to get the cover done.
Yeah, I think I was working on the cover while I'm doing this, but I think after this, I'm going to have to go back and do some other stuff. But I will get back. Hopefully, I'll get back to the cover later today. But yeah, it's coming along. I mean, once I can sit down, and because it's all penciled, and I'm just about finishing up all the line work with the ruler. So once I break out the brush, hopefully the rest will go fairly smooth, and then it's just a matter of doing the colors and stuff. So, and I'm not really sure exactly. I want it to be sort of a kind of that retro look, but I also like, I'm looking at this is the cover to the first. The first anthology, and it's very, it's a very limited color palette, just basically like blue and orange. So this one will have more colors, but I don't want to go too crazy with the colors, which, because it features unicorns, that's a little hard because all the rainbows and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what I can get. But I think I want to mute it down a little bit and make it maybe even look sort of like a newsprinty type thing. So hopefully it won't take too long. I don't think I have to do like a total airbrushed look like that for the cover. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll find a happy medium somewhere.
Well, I'm sure it will look great no matter what the final decision is on that.
Yeah.
It's like I know I'm blown away by your story that will be in the book. It's like I just love what you did, and yeah.
Yeah, my concern with that, and it's not a huge concern, but is that people won't be able to follow it because it's based on a song, and if you're not reading the song, it doesn't have any really too much dialogue. So if you can't if you can't pick it up, and if you aren't familiar with the song, hopefully enough people, if they don't get it, I reference the song in there so they could go and check out the song, and then it will all make total sense. But otherwise, hopefully, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm anxious to see what people's reaction are to it, if it makes sense to them or not.
Well, it's like I know when I originally started looking at comics, I really didn't read comics for a couple of years. Because I was very young when I started first see comics around. And really, if the visuals hold up enough, then you can pretty much get the gist of the story. So
Yeah.
So, where do you want to steer people to your website?
Yeah, well, like I said, this weekend, if you happen to be in Arizona and you want to come out to Surprise Comics in Surprise, Arizona, I'll be there. I'm guessing probably like 11 to 4 or 5 is when they do it. I'll be there along with Eric Hinson, who does Eden for Alterna, and Vincent DePorter, who does SpongeBob SquarePants comics and a bunch of other stuff. He's awesome. And there's another artist there I'm not familiar with. I think another local artist. So I'm anxious to meet that artist too. But we'll be there doing, I don't know, signing books, and obviously it's Free Comic Book Day. It's also May the 4th. So it should be a good time. If I can remember, I'll try to capture some of that on video and do a video of it, just to let people who can't make it out know. But I've got a whole stack of like Star Wars sketches that I've done that I'll probably bring with me and be doing some Star Wars commissions. And I've already got I've got a guy who's been out to every one of my events at the store, and he's always commissioned me to do some cool like retro Hanna-Barbera stuff. So hopefully I'll be doing more of that, but we'll see. So it's fun. Like, I don't do a lot of commissions, but when I'm at a store like that, it's something fun that I get to do. So, and it'll give you an opportunity to get a price on artwork that I, less than I usually would charge normally. So, so I'm doing that. And then, yeah, and you can find me at Serkworks online, pretty much most, whether that's my website at serkworks.com, where in addition to doing comics, I have a mad science supply store. And if you don't know what that is, if you just go to the store, you'll kind of see. But basically, I do a lot of geeky science stuff, a lot of prints, some apparel. But I have a whole line of stuff there that I do that's all about mad science and robots and aliens and zombies and other imminent threats to humanity. And then I'm mostly on YouTube. So I'm sure Peter will probably put a link to the channel in there. But I've got tons of videos on YouTube. And and the one thing that I think maybe later this week I'm going to be putting out a studio tour, which I haven't really done. And if you've kind of seen, you don't see it here, but in most of my videos, you'll see the underground lair. And I'm doing a full tour of everything in the underground lair and kind of some of the supplies and things that I use. So that should be pretty fun. That's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. So that should be coming out soon.
Sweet. Yeah, it's like we've had bits and pieces of tour your studio throughout the years.
This one's pretty inclusive.
Cool.
You're going to see some stuff you haven't seen before. I can guarantee it. So.
It's like behind the scenes of Disney.
Yeah. Well, I wish, but thanks for the compliment.
Cool. So yeah, thank you everybody who showed up in the chat. So glad you have joined us, and see a lot of familiar faces, a couple of new ones, and thank you for all your comments, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Yeah, once again, sorry, Jeff. Just feeling a little under the weather. Hopefully he'll recover soon, and we'll get him on.
Get well soon, Jeff.
But yeah. I'll also be doing another stream tonight with a different group of people. And so I'll set up the live link later today. And yeah, because I wanted to do a couple of these studio synergies. And it just worked out that everybody wanted to do it on the same day. So
Cool, yeah. Hopefully I'll be in the chat because I got a lot of work to do. So I'll have to have some stuff to keep me occupied.
Cool. So yeah, give the video a like. If you're watching this later, give me a comment. Let me know what you thought, and subscribe if you haven't. I also have another channel, Creator Owned Comics. You can subscribe to that as well, and I'll be interviewed later this week talking about my career. Shriek. All right, everybody. Take care. Love ya.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.